We hear a lot about nostalgia, especially from people who are around the age of 30, 40, even 50, talking about a time where things were very different. Now, a lot of people think that they're mentioning things like the TV shows, the movies, the sports, even the economy and things, times when houses were cheaper. Now, although those are part of it, it's important to realize it's a lot more than that. It's a lot more than even just nostalgia, quite frankly. It is a time where people were more at peace with themselves, where people were more sociable, where the world just made more sense in a way. Now, I myself grew up in the 2000s. I was born in 1997, so I wasn't a 90s kid, but I relate a lot with the millennials on this, where times were just a lot simpler and that people were a lot more comfortable in their own skin. It almost seems like nowadays we're in a way raising society full of just narcissistic sociopaths who are so selfish and caught up with what everyone else thinks that's just driven them to the point of misery. Their dopamine receptors have been so fried by scrolling nonstop on social media and everything here and there and the online videos. You guys know what I mean by that. Just everything here, everything just derailing us from real happiness, from having real peace of mind. I'll go out sometimes with friends, going to restaurants and different kinds of stuff like that, and even observing the behavior. So many people are glued to their phones, nonstop, just glued to their phones, sitting at the table with a group of people on their phones the whole time. Every few seconds they're pulling out their phone, not enjoying these kind of small things. The time out with your friends. You're not going to have your friends forever. You're not going to have your family forever. It's important to enjoy those things. Me, myself, lately, I've been leaving my phone in the car, actually, when I go into the gym even, when I go to a restaurant with friends, because I don't want it to derail me from enjoying the experience. Now, when it comes to the sociopathic stuff, the narcissism stuff, seems like a lot of people now are just craving for attention and comparison to other people, caring about people who, quite frankly, don't play any role in their lives, and they shouldn't care about what they think anyway. They're not thinking about these people. They're not thinking about them in the first place. I know this thing that a lot of people kind of grow out of. It was a lot worse for me when I was in my earlier 20s, but I've noticed people even in their 30s, even close to 40, who behave that way. Now, with the narcissism stuff, people talk a lot about girls and the way they behave in relationships, but it's a lot more than that. When you have people posting nonstop on social media, trying to get this attention and validation from people that they really play no role in their lives, that is very insecure. Very insecure. These are not people who are at peace with themselves and are truly happy with themselves. There wouldn't be a need to do that. I mean, this is ultimately again, we are creating a very bizarre sociopath kind of society that is not run on genuine happiness. It's run on insecurity, a very kind of rugged selfishness kind of individual that's not real independence, because you're so worried about what everyone else thinks. It's not peace of mind. And we just see things dwindling and spiraling out of control. Now, what do I mean by that? Even at a societal level. So I have a friend of mine who got a package stolen from his house at like 3 a.m. He was on vacation, forgot about the package, but he had it on Ring door cam, the whole thing, the guy going and taking the package and running off with it. He wanted to file a police report. What they told him was, unless it was $8,000 or more worth of stuff stolen, we're not even taking a police report. I mean, how backwards is that? Letting criminals get away with this kind of stuff. Again, this is why I say, like, things just aren't making sense now. There's another example. I know someone who someone did a hit and run on him, and they were driving away. He was following the car, on the phone with the police, giving him the license plate, telling him where the car is, where they're going en route to. And the cops told him, they said, if you keep pursuing him, you're going to get in trouble for pursuing him. And unless the car was totaled or you were seriously injured, we're not going to do anything. Blatant criminals let off the hook. Meanwhile, if me or you, God forbid, doesn't make a full stop at a stop sign or goes a few miles per hour over the speed limit when there's barely any cars around you, they're going to throw the whole book at us. It's very backwards. Very, very backwards. I remember a time where people were just more at peace with themselves and had more of their own individuality and personality. They weren't so caught up with being a specific way. They weren't so jealous and envious of each other. Now, I have to call out the men on this. I myself am a man. I can only say things from a man's perspective, and this is a channel primarily watched by men, I imagine, if it picks up or whatnot. But I see a lot of jealousy and envy coming from men. A lot of the time, people talk about females and the way they act and jealous and this and that and insecurity. There's a lot of men acting like that nowadays, trying to put each other down. So caught up with comparing themselves to other people, acting feminine, quite frankly, toxically feminine. So this whole thing, what it really comes down to is when you hear people wanting to cling on to something, when they feel like there's something that should be so simple and should be nature, but is missing, that is what they mean when they talk about nostalgia. It's not just us getting older, or, oh, we're washed up, or we're not with the times. And, you know, because the songs are 2 minutes now. We remember when songs are 4 minutes. It had nothing to do with it. It is about peace of mind. It is about a time when people were more at peace with themselves, more social, more sociable. I myself go on walks every now and then. I used to live in a neighborhood, suburb area of Seattle. And when I used to go on walks, 5-10 years ago, people would acknowledge you. They'd say hi to you. They would even sometimes try to start conversation with you. Most recently, when I've gone for a walk in that neighborhood, I don't live there anymore. People don't even acknowledge you, won't say hi to you, will act like you're invisible. And if you try to go out of your way to say something to them, they'll look at you like you're crazy or weird. It is so backwards. I just think it's very sad. And it goes to show a lot of people right now are very unhappy with themselves, because they would not act like that if they were at peace with themselves. They would be more sociable. They would be more positive. They would have more of a smile on their face. Now, I'm in a weird era where I was born in 97, graduated high school in 2016, and I had seen how things have gone downhill in terms of the social media stuff. My generation was really the last generation to go their whole childhood without phones and social media and all this being so prominent, being so in the forefront. I think around the time Instagram and Snapchat and all these things were getting big is around when I was probably sophomore or junior year of high school. People were always out doing stuff. They were always outside going on runs, throwing stuff in the park. They were having get-togethers with their friends. And I have a couple friends of mine who they had a nephew over, which nothing against him, good kid, whatever. But the whole time he was over, he was just glued to his smartphone. He's 18 years old, so he's like 10 years younger than me. Born in 07, which is crazy to think about. There's people born in 07 that are adults now. But the whole time he was just glued to his smartphone, scrolling TikTok nonstop. You could be out at dinner, anything, any experience was almost taken away, to where they don't enjoy, wow, look at the sunset. Look at how nice the buildings look when it's sunny out. Look, just observing the small things. Because the dopamine receptors have been so fried by the scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. It's just extremely unfortunate. Now, of course, a big part of it is housing prices, because that does play a factor in people's overall well-being. When people are able to live comfortably, they're going to be more happy with themselves. But it's a lot more than that. When people talk about the 90s, heck, the 80s, way before my time, but 70s, 60s, whatever it might be. A lot of the times what I truly believe they are referring to is just a time when people were more at peace with themselves and when things just made more sense, guys. When relationships and friendships actually felt like they had a meaning and could lead to somewhere. We're in a very bizarre time right now, and hopefully something gives, but only time will tell. Only time will tell if people start to cling on and be like, you know what? We got to change course because we are crashing fast. This is not leading to a optimistic and productive society in the future. But thank you so much, guys, for viewing. Stay tuned for the next one.